In July of 1996, Blair Adams was a 31-year-old Canadian man who was running away from someone that he believed was after him. Following 24 hours of an intensive, unexplained series of events, he was found half naked in a motel parking lot, beaten to death. His keys had been thrown, and his cash and gold was scattered all around his body. He met an incredibly violent end, and with no clear motive. The detective chief inspector working on the case said, "Every aspect of this case is mysterious. There's no explanation for it. This is the case of Blair Adams." Hi everyone and welcome back to This Case Takes Place. Today's case is the case of Blair Adams, which is quite a mysterious one, right?
So mysterious.
A big rabbit hole again. So this case takes place on the 11th of July 1996 in Knoxville, Tennessee. At a half-finished hotel off Interstate 40, two construction workers stepped out of their trucks ready for another day of work. Their boots crunched across the gravel when they saw a man sprawled in the dirt. At first, they didn't think anything of it. They thought maybe it's just a drifter, nothing too unusual. But as they moved closer, the details sharpened into something far more sinister. This person's shirt was ripped open, his socks were pulled inside out, and his pants were gone, torn away in a manner that looked forced. One of his sneakers were found several feet away, and the other was placed neatly beneath his head like a makeshift pillow. Scattered all around him were thousands of dollars in multiple currencies, US dollars, Canadian dollars, and German marks. But even more strangely, inside a small leather bag, they found gold bars and jewellery, and in his hands, a long strand of someone else's hair. The construction workers immediately called the police, and the police did arrive quickly. They turned over the body and searched for some clues. Inside his wallet, they found a name: Robert Dennis Blair Adams, 31 years old, from Surrey, British Columbia, Canada. A man with no known ties to Knoxville, no reason to be in Tennessee whatsoever. Blair Adams believed that he was being hunted and that someone was looking for him. Investigators were left asking, who is this Blair Adams, and why was he running? Blair Adams was born and raised in Surrey, British Columbia, and he was born on the 28th of December 1964. He was raised in a stable, middle-class home. At some point in his childhood, his mother remarried, and Blair lived with his mother and his new stepfather. Friends and family described him as a cheerful, kind, and ambitious young man, and his ambition did shine through with his tenacity in work. By his 30s, he was working for his stepfather's construction company, which operated in both Canada and Germany. Blair worked as a foreman, which is a supervisor who oversees labourers to ensure that the project is completed safely, on time, and within budget. It was a job that demanded responsibility, and Blair handled it incredibly well. He had even worked abroad. In Frankfurt, Germany, he spent months supervising a project, building a reputation as a competent, if sometimes confrontational man. Whilst there, he also found love, beginning a relationship with a German girlfriend. On the surface, Blair had stability. He had a good job, a woman he cared for, and respect from his family. But there were some cracks. Blair had struggled with alcoholism in his 20s, and it nearly completely consumed him. According to some sources, he had charges related to assault and drugs in his past as well. But by 1996, he had been sober for 2 years. He was also relatively active with AA, so Alcoholics Anonymous, and he was really proud of his progress. But then suddenly, he stopped attending these meetings, and people began to notice something else. His mother Sandra remembers it clearly. She said, something was obviously very much the matter. He hadn't been sleeping well. Something was wrong. I asked him numerous times what was wrong, and he just said, I don't think I should tell you about it. His colleagues noticed some changes too, as Blair began leaving the job sites unlocked. Then, without explanation, he just quit his job. He didn't even bother to collect his paycheck. To his girlfriend, he confessed fears of violence from former colleagues who had returned from Germany. To his mother, he muttered about rumours being spread about him, but he never said anything too much more. By July of 1996, Blair was convinced that someone wanted him dead. It was on Friday, the 5th of July, that Blair decided to act. He walked into his bank and he withdrew every single dollar he had. He emptied his safe deposit box and walked away with more than $6,000 in cash, plus some gold bars, platinum coins, and some very expensive jewellery. It looked like the actions of a man preparing to completely flee. The next morning before dawn, Blair made his way to the US-Canadian border. At the Pacific Highway crossing, he tried to walk into Washington state. Immigration officials stopped him. To them, He looked like another drug carrier, a single man carrying thousands in cash. He also had scratches to his arms and legs, and, nearby, a stolen car had been found. For a moment, he looked like their suspect, but with no proof, they had to let him go, and Blair was turned back to Canada. His escape attempt had failed, but Blair was just getting started.
On 7th of July, Blair returned to his old job site, not to work as he had already quit, but to collect his final paycheck. Later that day, he went to the airport. He purchased a round-trip ticket to Frankfurt, Germany, which cost $1,600. His flight was scheduled for the 8th of July. But when the day came, Blair never boarded the plane. Instead, he appeared at a friend's house, trembling and panicked. Someone was trying to kill him, he said, and he begged for help crossing the border. His friend refused. Hours later, Blair abandoned his Germany plan entirely. He returned the ticket, rented a car, and tried again for the border. Twice he failed. On his third attempt, he finally slipped through. Once inside the United States, Blair drove to Seattle, and there he made another baffling decision. He bought a plane ticket to Washington, D.C. It cost $770 and was one way. Investigators later shook their heads. A round trip would have cost half that, so why pay double? Blair then boarded the plane. He landed in Washington, D.C. on the morning of the 10th of July. At the airport, he rented a Toyota Camry. And then, without explanation, he drove south to Knoxville, Tennessee. But why Knoxville? Blair had no family there, no friends, no known business. A detective would later say, why go to DC just to turn around and come back to Knoxville? He had no reason to be here. At around 5:30 that evening, Blair's erratic behavior continued. He pulled into a Knoxville gas station, but his car wouldn't start. The reason was he was trying to use the wrong key, one from a previous rental, not the Toyota Camry he was driving now. With the rental office closed, Blair had no choice. The tow driver offered him a lift to a nearby Fairfield Inn. Gerald, the repair service driver, noticed the problem right away. Blair was attempting to use a Nissan key for the rental he'd left behind in Seattle for the Toyota that he was currently driving. Gerald remembered this. I asked him to look in his pocket. If you drove this thing up here, you gotta have the key in your pockets. And he wouldn't look, so I thought he was nuts. He was bound and determined that he had the key. He didn't have the key that he needed for the car, which is super weird. Like, he drove the car into the petrol station.
Has it, right?
He obviously has it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did he drive it to the petrol station in the first place, which is what this guy is saying. So Gerald continues. The guy was not there at all. He didn't appear to be messed up, but didn't appear to be on drugs, but his mind wasn't functioning correctly for some reason. At the hotel, Blair's paranoia was on full display. Security cameras captured him pacing in and out of the lobby 5 times in less than an hour. He looked restless, agitated, as if waiting for someone to burst through the doors. Finally, he paid for a room. He was given a key. But Blair never went upstairs. At 7:37 p.m., he walked out of the front doors of the hotel. The next morning, on the 11th of July, 12 hours after Blair was last seen alive, his body was discovered in the dusty lot of a half-finished hotel across the highway. He was naked from the waist down. His socks were inside out. His shirt was ripped open. Pants were nearby, but obviously removed in like a really quick way that suggested that force had been used. One of his shoes tucked under his head like a pillow. That's a really odd thing to have happen. So
why do you think that seems symbolic?
Well, he must have been conscious and put it under there unless someone else put it under his head. Like, it's his shoes, like everything else seemed to have been strewn
pure
around
chaos,
him.
But that's almost like
but one thing, like a pillow to comfort him, like super weird. And then again, cash everywhere, completely untouched. And then the car key that he swore he didn't have, it was lying literally in the dirt right next to him. So it makes you think, was it planted? Or did he just happen to have it, and in that moment, in whatever chaos ensued, that it fell out? And as mentioned, he has someone else's hair in his hand. The autopsy revealed the violence he had endured. Cuts and abrasions covered his body, and tufts of his hair had been ripped from his scalp. But the fatal injury was shocking. A blow to the stomach so forceful it ruptured his organs. The trauma sent him into septic shock. Blair Adams ultimately had been beaten to death. There were indications he might have also been SA'd, but no hard evidence confirmed it. And no weapon was found, no drugs or alcohol were in his system. The only possible witness was a night security guard who reported hearing a scream at 3:30 a.m., but when he heard the scream, he thought it was a woman's scream. The investigation stalled almost immediately. Police had no suspects, no witnesses, no motive, and Blair's death remains a puzzle to this day.
Many years later, during a phone interview in 2017, Blair's mum Sandra revealed some previously unknown information about her son's puzzling trip. She claimed that Blair had travelled to the American South simply because he wanted to attend the 1996 Summer Olympics in Atlanta, which was set to begin on the 19th of July. However, for reasons that are unclear, she never informed authorities of this, and there doesn't seem to be any supporting evidence of this story. Strange, right? That's weird.
So weird. And she asserts it. She's like, absolutely, that was the reason. But I mean,
that's a long 21 years later. Like, that's
as well, that too. Just maybe she did mention it, but the police were like, okay.
Yeah.
That obviously doesn't make sense. What part of that whole him being frantic, going, buying a ticket, then not using the ticket, and then hiring a different car and then going south? What part of that makes
the key? Like, oh, this is not to have the key.
What part of that says I wanted to go to the Olympics and just have a nice recreational time?
Well, as Sandra said, she quote says that was the whole point of his trip before abruptly hanging up on this journalist. Blair's stepfather was seemingly agitated by the press attention after all of these years, unequivocally stating during a phone call, quote, "We are not going to open up that can of worms ever again." Sandra Edwards did pass away in 2020 at the age of 77. Any other information she has regarding the Olympics and Blair's intentions remains pretty much a mystery to this day. We don't really know why she said this or what gave the impression.
But that's really the case. And then the speculation starts from here.
Yeah,
it's
I
just
guess
bizarre.
So here are some unusual details to remember. We have multiple types of currency, money and jewellery on him untouched, because if someone robbed him, you're gonna
That's right.
even if you did, you can melt gold bars down and they're untraceable.
Yeah.
So it's like
even just the cash.
Just the
cash is untraceable.
For
just
the most
take
part,
it.
yeah.
It was just literally all like a bounty.
Yeah.
Like, just left there.
His shirt was ripped open. His pants were off, suggesting that they were ripped off. There was a lost key next to him, socks inside out. One shoe was scattered. The body was found on a construction site. Tufts of hair were found in his hands. He had cuts and abrasions all over him. He had a blow to the stomach so forceful it ruptured his organs. And there were signs of SA but no evidence to confirm it. And there was a woman scream at 3:30 a.m. So there's a lot of things that happened there. So ultimately, what did the police think of this?
They had no theories.
They had just nothing.
Nothing. So that's where, the first...
Just that somebody or a number of people may have attacked him.
They don't know.
But no motive.
But that's what they're saying is
robbery.
the most puzzling case they've ever come across, because there's not even one single motive or suspect. None of it makes sense.
So there are a number of theories.
Online,
So number one, we have the theory of this being some kind of drug murder. Yep. So the first theory is that Blair's death resembles that of a hit or an assassination, possibly related to money or drugs. People have argued that construction companies are often used as drug fronts in the first place, and that it wouldn't be difficult to be embroiled in something if you were looking for it. Blair's paranoia to some didn't appear to be random. It reads like someone who knew that he was being hunted. People believe that due to his zigzagging back and forward and backtracking to Knoxville, some people have assigned this behaviour to someone trying to deliberately mislead or misdirect someone else. A last-ditched attempt to shake the trail. For example, Blair buys an overpriced one-way ticket in his own name. Then he switches to a rental car, traceable, but harder to predict than a flight manifest. Furthermore, some suspect that part of the intentional misdirection, Blair wasn't ever meant to sleep in that motel room, as this was yet another decoy. They caught up to him before he could throw them off the scent. So the evidence for this theory is essentially because he was beaten up, the possible SA. This is usually sometimes used, I know I've heard UK gangsters talking about SA as a form of humiliation. They film it and it's used as a way to
torture, payback,
they send it around to other people to see, humiliate, all that kind of thing.
Sure, yeah.
Other evidence is this is multiple currencies because he was thinking of escaping to Germany where he'd be less traceable. So evidence against this, one reason why you don't think it is the shoe under the head, right?
The shoe is a big key, and I don't know why. But if this was like he was relapsed into drugs and alcohol, he owed people money, they took revenge out on him, that whole sort of thing. Why put the shoe under his head? It's almost like comforting, unless he did it to himself. But even then...
Well, there are stories of people on Mount Everest in their final moments before dying. Apparently they'll say to someone, "I'm going to lie down now." and that's you
Yeah.
know they're gone. So it's like they're almost just seeking that final bit of comfort before going. If he had a ruptured kidney and his body was shutting down,
Yeah.
he might have instinctively just looked for some comfort and just gone like this. And just
That
kind
I
of
can appreciate. But if he
done
was
that.
being killed by someone else, wouldn't they wait to make sure the job's done? You don't think?
I guess not. They might not even wanted to kill him. They might just want to beat him up.
From all the way up in Canada,
I don't
and
know.
to have tracked him all the way down, beating him up, leaving, and then
But
leaving
they left the money. That's the biggest thing to me. If it was about money and drugs, the one thing that people who are involved in this kind of industry is they want currency, money, valuables,
Yeah.
gold. If you can't pay up, then you can pay with something. And he had
Yes.
plenty of
That's
things
what
to
I
pay
mean.
up. Even if he owed more than that, they could have recouped some of their losses. But so I don't think that's a plausible theory, to be honest.
No.
I'm not too sure
But
about
a
that
lot of
one.
people say it has to be drug, something related, and then someone took revenge.
Mhm.
But if it was money, if the crux of it was that he owed drugs or owed money,
You can kind
they
of
would have
trace money.
taken.
You can, because they would have seen where he withdrew that. The serial number log makes a log.
Mhm.
That money then gets spent, let's say, in a different part of the country, and that gets registered. Then, let's say, it gets used in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
The coffee shop deposits that in the bank. The serial number flags that bank. They go,
You're
oh,
kidding.
okay. Yeah, you
I
can
thought
trace money.
cash wasn't traceable.
You can, to some degree, trace money. Yeah, a
in
little bit,
1996.
probably.
What? This is
Yeah, there's
news
loads
to
of
me.
there's loads of methods of like tracing stuff. Yeah, there's ways of tracing where
But then,
money
if
goes.
this was like a gang operating through the construction industry, surely they have means to just like launder it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, put it in a casino and it gets passed around by
That's
multiple
what I
people. Or something
mean.
like that. Yeah, probably something like that. Yeah, before
And
it
then
gets.
it can never be traced back. I'm sure they have methods.
It's kind of possible because you can kind of see where money circulates.
Right.
So,
Either
but
way.
the gold bars they could have taken them, melting
That's
down.
what I
No one
mean.
knows about them.
Yeah.
So that's just like untraceable completely.
So the second theory is the idea that Blair may have been essayed. Although there is no DNA evidence, the fact that his body was found pretty much nude from the waist down leads many to think some kind of assault may have taken place. So perhaps Blair came across a sadist in the early hours of the morning. He was assaulted and then beaten. Perhaps the beating went too far, and when the perpetrator ran off after his assault, Blair settled himself down on the ground, put the shoe under his head to rest, and died, cradling his stomach. Something like that. Because his state of undress, just the pants down, and like the pants were like violently ripped off. It's weird.
Yeah. It does imply something sexual in nature, I guess.
Something, yeah.
It implies it, but I think that's all it does imply. It doesn't
Yeah.
really give anything
And if you
concrete.
were going to get essayed, wouldn't they take the money? Or maybe they freaked out because like, oh, I punched him too hard. But his hair, the tufts of his hair were ripped out of his skull.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just to essay him and run away?
There should surely be some signs of that, though, right?
Well, that's what I mean. They said that there was some signs that he was essayed, but no evidence to confirm it. So how does that happen?
Well, even if there's no DNA, there would be kind of like trauma to certain parts of
That
his body.
must have been what happened.
Because, yeah,
Because otherwise, the pants being ripped off on its own isn't a sign of essay.
no,
So there must have been some kind of trauma.
some kind of trauma.
Yeah.
And the cat definitively say it happened here. It could have happened the night before or
Yeah.
something, so they might not be able to conclusively say
Maybe he was gay.
that's exactly what it is. Yeah, exactly.
That's
It might
what I
be
mean.
meeting a gay lover or something, or whatever.
Yeah,
So they can't link it up. But
exactly.
it seems like there's something there to suggest it could be.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
third theory is kind of related. So instead of him being essayed, maybe he was the essayer. So some have asked if Blair had essayed someone in his past and then this person had connections. So this is a big one, this idea of some kind of redemptive, because this attack seems personal.
Mhm.
Otherwise, they wouldn't have they would have stolen the jewelry and all
Yeah,
the money.
Absolutely, yeah.
So perhaps he essayed someone during his drug assault charges phase, or perhaps even when he was living in Germany overseas. Alternatively, perhaps he was trying to essay someone that night and that the reason for his undress was that he was in some sort of sexual counter that went wrong. It might have even been consensual. Perhaps it was even him, meeting up with a sex worker. He was in the middle of something, and then that was why he was in a state of undress. So apparently there was a truck stop just across the road where his body was found, and this was a popular place for sex work.
Okay.
It was like a truck stop. Perhaps he was having some kind of rendezvous with another that soured and he was killed over it. Or he himself assaulted someone and then was attacked by their pimp. And also he was found at a construction site. So maybe instead of having this rendezvous at the truck stop, he maybe took this girl to a construction site, which is where he, that was his profession. Maybe he was comfortable in a construction site and felt a bit more comfortable to do an illegal activity there.
Maybe he knew there wouldn't be any people there.
That's
or
what I
like
mean.
the areas where people wouldn't go. Privacy, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess,
But then if it was a pimp, they would have stolen the money.
yeah, I guess what I'm wondering is, what's that woman called? That serial killer. Her name is escaping me.
Oh, the Charlize Theron monster. She did the Eileen. Yeah.
Eileen. So she would kill men if they stepped over the line.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder. So a woman can do that. I think she had a gun.
Yeah. Well, there's no sign
But
of gun.
I
I
don't know if
don't think a girl could overpower a man.
It would take someone trained in.
Yeah.
Seriously
Unless-
trained in combat.
If it's not the pimp, maybe it was a male sex worker.
True. I didn't even think
Hence
of that.
why
Oh,
the
yeah.
sensor, like the like maybe that's
Yeah.
why he had visible signs of some kind of sexual activity.
Maybe he tried to take it too far. I mean, this is like pinch of salt. I'm
Yeah.
just
We're
coming up with
just
some stuff,
yeah,
spitballing.
yeah.
But maybe he did take it too far with a male
Sex
worker,
Yeah.
and they just went like
Yeah, they snapped.
Eileen did snap. Was like kind of
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
that makes more sense because it was more like hair ripped out.
yeah.
He was beaten, scratches all over him.
Mm-hmm. That makes some more sense.
That makes more sense than the
I
pimp.
don't know if it's true, but that's what, as far as that theory goes, if it was him involved with a sex worker or something,
Yeah.
that makes more sense. That would be a man.
Yeah. And then also, it makes sense he wouldn't take the cash then because he's freaked out. It's like, oh, he maybe punched him. Like, there was a normal man-to-man tuffle. Blows were exchanged, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then he really punched him really hard on the start. And then he thinks, oh no, I've gone too far, and bolted.
There's a few things here because even like some men like getting beaten up.
Yeah.
Some men enjoy it. Like if it was like there was a guy on some reality TV show was explaining like he loves women really viciously beating him up he's nearly been, I think he was nearly killed before doing it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he loves it. He loves it. Well, I don't know how much he loves it, but like
Well, he's asking for it.
He's asking for it, yeah.
Part of his
Also
king.
makes me think, has he travelled all this way so he can avoid anyone he could potentially know? So he's travelled far away to meet a male sex worker due to shame, and he's gone somewhere far away to go and do it. So and then it's gone sour.
Yeah.
Things happen. I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
Yeah.
But I'm just kind of thinking what, in the situation.
But also the thing about Germany. So apparently he was saying to people, some colleagues of mine are spreading rumors that he's annoyed some people in Germany. What if he had cheated on the girl or like had a girl overseas and this is just a big redemption?
And
Like
the brothers or dads or uncles are coming after him or something.
Yeah. And that's why they didn't touch the money.
It's a hard thing to speculate on someone who's dead and being killed, like, because we're painting some things that aren't very nice about him.
Yeah.
But like, it's all the internet. Well, so what people are thinking about possible theories, because
Trying to
obviously
explain
someone had a very personal thing against him.
Yeah.
So it has to be something worth killing for.
Exactly.
And if it's not money, then revenge.
Yeah.
So another theory is that Blair was a police informant. So the theory goes that perhaps he was running away from Canada because the person whom he was informing on found out and started hunting him down, and that he became scared. Perhaps he encountered or uncovered a criminal network, and one that crossed international lines into Germany, and the network found out that Blair was speaking to the police. That's what I was thinking. Something like this, more than like the sex work kind of thing. There are people who do undercover police work.
Yeah.
And I always do wonder, like, if they did discover it, there would be serious repercussions.
Yeah.
But then it would be dangerous for these kind of people to kill a police informant, because then they've got dirt on you already, because there's a police informant informing the police about what you've been up to. So if you kill that guy, that's even worse.
But it was a construction company that worked in both Canada and Germany.
Yeah.
It's like probably pretty easy to move contraband, like, you know what I mean, across like that's a pretty good way to do. So
well, not like a lot. Well, I say I know a lot. I know there's like a few construction things in Sydney that are a bit shadily operated with like the Chinese and stuff like that, and I know there's some Russian stuff. Yeah. So it happens.
Possible.
It definitely happens. Yeah. But there is another theory. This is theory number 5, that he was killed due to some kind of an affair. So this theory is that an affair happened between Blair and a dangerous man's wife, possibly a man with criminal ties and connections, and one who was abusive towards his own wife, and that there was some kind of plan to relocate and escape the domestic violence, hence all of the activity before his murder, which was intended to throw him off his trail. Blair and the woman met outside the hotel, were engaging in some kind of passionate love, when the husband or his cronies discovered them. This could explain the woman's scream at the time of the murder, And it could explain that the husband probably located Blair through his wife's activity, such as her credit card uses. That's a really interesting theory. How they came up with that one. That's like quite a...
Yeah.
I mean, it's very
specific.
very drama specific,
Yes.
like specific and very drama filled.
Yes.
But I mean, it sounds more of a movie more than real life.
Yeah.
But I guess he had
Mate, some people with domestic violence, there's no
Yeah.
end of the earth that they wouldn't go. And if they suspect the wife and just tracking, because it also makes sense that instead of tracking him,
How hard would it be to track back
Track
in
the wife.
1996? That'd be hard to do. It's not as easy as today, right?
true.
Mm.
I'm sure they would have had their means, maybe.
It's an interesting theory, though.
Yeah, for sure. And again, it's personal. At least
Personal.
it's really got that aspect
Yeah.
of it. It's personal.
I mean, this is a weird case. I wouldn't throw anything out. It's in itself, it's a weird circumstance.
Yeah.
So it could require a kind of a weird motive as well. I
Explanation,
wouldn't, you know what I mean? So
And explains a woman's scream. I mean, I guess it could have been a bystander who had come across the body, but didn't want to ring in.
yeah,
at
and just got scared and
3:30.
run away.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine if you're by yourself in a
Middle of the
construction area that's not even fully completed, that's an eerie setting.
Yeah, for sure.
You see a dead body and run. You don't want
Yeah.
to be involved in anything.
Yeah.
You just leave.
Yeah. For sure.
It's reasonable, I guess, to some degree.
So the next theory is that perhaps he had involved himself in some kind of criminal activity, but the perpetrators weren't trying to find money on him. They were trying to find something else, something that he carried. So another theory is that Blair was involved in illegal activity, which is why he had so much cash and gold on him in the first place. People usually in clean lines of work don't need to liquidate their lives at a whim, but people that expect trouble often do. So perhaps while he was taking drugs, he was selling or moving drugs and using his construction contacts to do so. But in the process, perhaps uncovered something like a USB or something with information, and that he fled with this information. One commenter in particular argues, my theory is that his fear wasn't imaginary. He went through something, maybe drug deals, maybe something else. He took all his money to pay for something to somebody. And I think he went to Knoxville to meet someone. Maybe they chose that town where no one knows them to do what they needed to do. They said at the hotel he looked agitated and like waiting for someone to come for him. Maybe he was nervous because of the person he had to meet with. So he went outside. There were witnesses who saw him with another man, allegedly. Then they went to this area where he was found dead. Something happened, got out of control, and they killed him. The fact that his clothes were upside down shows that they were looking for something, not money. And it makes me think in those movies, like maybe
Yeah,
they dangled him
interesting.
outside, like, you know, the movies where they have like, they go to the top of a construction site and they dangle someone over the edge, like,
Yeah.
tell me where it is.
It
Tell
makes sense
me."
why his socks were off in case he had it hidden in his kind
Yeah.
of socks or in his, well,
No, his socks were on. They were back to front. They were inside out, sorry.
oh,
So they were like reversed.
no, I thought they
That
were
was the
off.
only
Okay.
thing, waist
right.
down. But
would
everything
make
else was
sense why
removed.
And it could make sense if they were checking his
Yeah.
back passage for anything, if he had anything up there. So if it looks like he had some kind of assault but they weren't sure, they might have checked to see if he'd hidden it up there.
Oh my gosh, of course.
Mm.
That is so interesting. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
That's so true. Right.
That makes more sense.
And they were looking for, and then with all the money and gold, these people are like ultra wealthy or something. Like, we don't need to get ourselves caught up in this murder.
Mhm.
We're not going to touch the evidence because we're like elite criminals here. We're like not like just petty criminals. Like, leave that behind so it doesn't like
Yeah.
trap us.
Yeah, because if they do
implicate
get
us.
pulled over down the street,
Exactly.
where'd you get this cash and gold from?
Exactly. And
And
like
you
you
can't
said,
explain it.
and apparently you
Because,
can trace it now.
well, before the gold's melted down, you can trace the coins. The coins are very traceable.
Yeah.
If they're minted,
Yeah.
then they know where it's from,
Right.
who minted it, blah, blah, blah. So if they had to transport those coins away, if they got pulled
Yeah.
over by the police and they went, where'd you get this coin from?
Yeah.
Because this belonged to someone called Blair Adams.
Yeah.
And then
They're fair.
and he's found dead up the street.
Yeah.
You're going to be implicated. Same
Yeah.
with the banknotes, potentially. These were withdrawn by someone
Yeah.
like Blair Adams, for example.
So maybe they were looking for something, hence the tufts of hair. He was beaten up for information.
Yeah.
They searched everywhere and maybe they found what they needed. And then the last,
Final, yeah.
and then he
yeah.
just like kind of like crawled away and then like comforted himself in his last moments because
Mhm.
he like was in so much pain. That,
Yeah.
yeah, that
But I
makes
mean,
sense.
so his socks were inside out.
Yeah,
So, like, what happens if they took his socks off to check him? They left him beaten up, not realizing how badly they beaten him up. He'd put his socks back on, inside out.
I think if you've blown yourself,
Trying
like as it like if you've ruptured internal
And
organs,
he could have died from that point onwards.
I think his socks are just completely unrelated. I think that he just
hung up
probably
on the
put
socks.
them on
Yeah.
back
in a haze,
inside
yeah.
out in that day.
It's just
like,
a
in
weird
that
thing, like,
morning.
because I've never put my socks inside out on before. It's like it
Look,
makes
he was frazzled.
Yeah, I
He
guess
couldn't
so,
find
yeah.
his car keys that he drove to the petrol station
Yeah.
in, and he was convinced that he needed another set.
So theory number 7 is an accident. So the next theory is that he was suffering from some kind of psychotic break and that he had an accident on the construction site. One interpretation is that this construction site was the type of place that someone like Blair would find familiar and safe, as he had spent a lot of time on them. Falling from something such as scaffolding and hitting scaffolding bars below would easily cause the type of damage to his body and the punch to the gut that could explain why his internal organs were ruptured. And when you fall, you put your hands out to catch yourself, which could explain the defensive type of injuries. If this did happen, Blair wouldn't have immediately died, especially as he had no serious head injuries, which would give him time to stumble to the car park and collapse, which would explain why he wasn't robbed, so that nobody else was involved, it was just him by himself. This could also explain the missing pants, or at least why they seem to have been removed in a way that didn't look as though they were taken off by himself. So the explanation is that they got caught as he fell down the construction site. All his belongings came out too and scattered as he fell. I don't know if I find this too plausible.
No.
Yeah.
I don't find it plausible at all.
I mean,
and the
it's
tufts
possible,
of hair being ripped out. Like, surely if you're falling down all this scaffolding.
Surely you'd bang your head.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess like if the scaffolding, at some point you would hit
you're
your
gonna
head.
knock your head though, aren't you?
True. But then he did show signs of beating. Like maybe it just looked like his face maybe planted that looked like a punch. But either way, I don't agree with this one.
So imagine like you would bang your head hard at one point. And it would be kind of obvious. Like when you have scaffolding shaped
True.
bruising.
Just like horizontal shape. Yeah.
Yeah, you
so
kind of
true.
have some kind of bruising that would suggest that kind of thing.
For sure.
But I mean,
no.
I don't think he was in the right state of mind. So this kind of like general premise of him being psychologically broken and getting into an accident is fairly reasonable.
Yeah.
So theory number 8 is a psychotic break. So the most obvious theory is that Blair was simply suffering from a psychotic break. He was experiencing a break from reality, hallucinations, and paranoia. The idea is that all of his prior activity to his murder is completely unrelated. The plane ticket, the car hire, the crossing the borders, the erratic zigzagging, all of this behaviour didn't make sense because he wasn't in a functioning state of mind, so it's only fair that it would lead to very erratic outcomes.
Yes.
So it would manifest in that way. But if this is true, why did he die?
So this theory basically hinges on the idea that everything that happened before is completely unrelated to how he died. But then this is where everyone stumbles again because it still doesn't answer. Okay, so if all the behavior beforehand doesn't make sense and it's erratic and crazy, so it's an act, like, did someone try and rob it? It was a robbery gone wrong. But again, why was the jewelry not? It makes sense. It seems to me that might be actually related somehow.
Well, one thing that comes up in my head right now is if he did have some kind of psychotic break, and that maybe a man and woman were doing something in the construction area, like parked up. He came over in his like deluded state and was saying things and doing things, scared the woman, she screams. The guy comes out, beats him up as he's like perving on them both or something if he's not in the right state of mind. And that, it would explain the woman screaming. It would explain why he was
violently pants ripped off though? Like impossible signs of...
Then it kind of falls. It's a real tricky one. There's loads of layers where you kind of,
I agree that he wasn't in his right state of mind, but that could have been because he was genuinely paranoid.
Yeah, and I think if you are genuinely scared, it would lead to
erratic behavior.
If you fear for your life, you'll do some things to stay alive.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
If you there's a genuine threat, you would.
Yes, of course. Yeah. So again, I don't disagree that he wasn't completely, even if, I think he was just paranoid because maybe something was happening. But even if it wasn't, it still doesn't explain his end. I don't know. Because a psychotic break, like you need to come across something happening to him. I don't know. So on the psychotic break note, the next theory is that perhaps as part of his psychotic break, Blair did it to himself. And this to me is the only explanation of the psychotic break theory. Because, first of all, I need to explain what is the Cindy James case. So who was Cindy James? Cindy James is a 44-year-old Canadian nurse who was found dead in Richmond, British Columbia in June 1989. For 7 years before her death, she reported over 100 incidents of harassment, stalking, and violent attacks by unknown assailants. Despite police skepticism and suggestions of self-infliction, friends and family insisted she was genuinely targeted. Her body was discovered, drugged, bound and abandoned near a house, but investigators controversially ruled the death as being self-inflicted. The case remains one of Canada's most mysterious and debated unsolved deaths. So, on the psychotic break theory then, this is the only way that I think the psychotic break theory could make sense, is that he actually, as part of the psychotic break, they wanted to do a dramatic ending. And this was all staged.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if it's happened before, then it can happen again, right?
If you believe that Cindy James did unalive herself. Like, this is Cindy James is a very controversial case where people are like, no, she would never unalived herself. Eventually, we should cover it.
I'm not too familiar with the case. It'll be interesting to delve into that one at another time.
But that's a very famous...
But it just seems a bit far-fetched. I don't know. Like, can you really bust your own insides?
I mean, you hit yourself hard enough. Like, you could pull out your own hair.
I don't think you can get enough leverage on yourself. Like, to throw a punch, you have to go back, and you have to follow through, and you have to, like, twist your hips and plant your feet. How would you kind of just rupture your own...
Maybe he jumped, like, in the construction site, he jumped on something.
But then there'd be consistent bruising of patterns.
Look, if he had maybe died from any other method, other than a beating to his gut, then I might be inclined to possibly believe this. But it's too hard to... You're right. It's too hard to, like... It's self-inflict that.
Self-inflict yeah, because, like, I don't know how you could...
You couldn't.
I need to punch myself, then I have a ring on. I kind of hurt my ribs, but, like, apart from... like, it's... I don't know if you could get enough...
I don't think so.
Could you generate enough force to bust your insides? Don't think you could, really.
I don't think you could. So I think that undoes that fully. Everything else makes sense. Like, you could stage everything else.
Yeah.
You can't exactly stage the final blow that would actually end your life.
I think of a way to beat yourself to death.
Well, you could just whack yourself with a bar or something. But then you have to get rid of it. There's no murder weapon. Like, there's no
nothing. Murder weapon.
So I think it definitely wasn't. So what was it then? So now that's the end of the theory. So what's your final opinion?
I have no idea.
We're like the investigators who just keep going like do.
I kind of have like a few different ideas. Well, if he had signs of someone entered his back passage, but they couldn't tell if it was SA or not, that does make me wonder if someone tried to... And it looks like people were searching for something, hence the pants being ripped off, all that kind of thing. It's like they're looking for something maybe taped around his leg, or like, and then potentially up inside himself.
He was saying, of course, it could be part of the psychotic break, but he was saying, oh, my colleagues are talking bad about me. Like, you know, it was constantly related to his colleagues, and that, like, someone was mad at him in Germany. Yeah. And, like, so maybe there really was something going on. And then an actual fear of something actually happened triggered a psychotic. Like, sometimes things are triggered. Like, two things can be true at once. There might have actually been someone after him, but he was also experiencing a psychotic break. Because, like, the paranoia overtook him.
Yeah, like, it just triggered something in his brain that just broke, and then that was it.
Because sometimes you can get a psychotic break triggered from mental stress.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're going through, one of the comments related to this case was talking about how during university when she was studying, at one point she actually suffered from a psychotic break and that she was institutionalized. And then, but she had no history before that.
Mm-hmm.
It actually triggered something. She was hospitalized and then she came out and she was fine.
Right.
But sometimes big stress can trigger something.
Yeah, I mean, probably a stressful job, a lot of responsibility.
And he annoyed people. He pissed off some people. Maybe that was enough to trigger it.
What do you think happened?
Look, the male prostitution one.
Maybe
he was having a psychotic break. That explains everything beforehand. And then he's like, all right, now I'm gay. I want to explore being gay or something.
But then if it was a male sex worker, they want money. They're doing it for money.
But he punched him too hard and got freaked out and ran away. And was like, oh, what have I done? I don't want to be embroiled with this. Like, I don't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
And ran away.
Maybe they thought, like when I said about you can trace some things, maybe they knew that and thought, I don't want to be... Because if you do take someone from the crime scene...
It's next level.
It's next level. I think it becomes aggravated. You get the death sentence too. If you kill someone and then take something from them and use it, becomes an aggravating factor, and it can lead to you getting the death penalty in some states.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know if they knew this stuff, but I know it, so maybe they did. I don't know. But
either that or, like you said, actual people trying to find not money. They wasn't like, it was he has something that we need and he's fled and he's paranoid about it and we need to make sure, like,
What a fascinating
Searching.
case. My God, what a weird one.
Yeah, those
Poor
are the two.
guy. Jesus Christ.
Horrible.
I mean,
And then his mum saying about the Olympics.
yeah,
What's that
there's so many
about?
things, yeah. And then you got that to mention
Was
as
she,
well.
Was she
I forgot about
in
that, yeah.
denial?
Maybe
Was
she had some kind of
Maybe she had a
something.
break.
Yeah, I mean, your son being found dead would surely
That's what I
do something
mean.
to you.
That's a trauma.
What do you think, Josh? Josh doesn't know.
Josh doesn't.
Josh has no idea.
For once, he's
Yeah.
silent.
Well, he's stumped he is. Yeah. No, this is a really baffling case. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's one of the weirdest ones I've heard.
So
Just because
odd.
when you try and think about a motive, it's like
It's
there really
it's
isn't
the
one
motive.
there.
Every single time you just stop and you go, wait a second.
So
did
a
that
woman
be-"
screamed.
I think the woman scream we can ignore because that could be anything. The
Could
socks
be,
inside
yeah.
out. That could be him just
Yeah,
putting
I
it
was
on
too hung up on the
backwards.
socks.
I'm
The
hung
socks
up on
are
the
so
shoe.
much-
I'm hung
yeah.
up on the. That's the thing. Like
Footwear is the foot thing here is like weirding me out. Like
Yeah,
the shoes and the,
the
socks.
feet.
Yeah.
But like that's the thing. I mean, if the people were trying to search his cavities for something and they beat him up, would they not?
Mhm.
They wouldn't want to leave him accidentally alive. They would have ended the job.
Maybe it wouldn't have mattered if he's still alive. Because it's like, if he's
Oh,
like,
that guy raided my body.
But I wonder if like they thought he swallowed it, so they just punched him really hard in the stomach as like a. I don't know.
Wouldn't they wait until it came out?
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you? If it was that important, you would. You'd
now
take him somewhere and make him get out of him.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't think they would have let the shoe and give him like the
Or
final
maybe
bits of rest.
they did just find it up there and they just beat him up and killed him and left him.
Maybe. I'm more inclined now
Well,
to believe it was a
anyway,
male
it's-
sex worker.
There's so many different. I don't even know what to think.
Male sex worker.
Yeah, is that what you're going with?
That's what I'm going with.
Sticking with yeah. I mean it's possible, right? But yeah, what a strange one.
Leave your opinions down below.
Yeah.
It's
Anyway,
very
so
odd.
that's the case of Blair Adams.
Yes.
If you've made it this far, thank you for watching, and
Thanks.
please comment and let us know what you think because
We're stumped.
I don't even know what to think.
Male
Sometimes you kind of like have an idea in your head of some cases and you go, yeah, that's what I think. I don't know. I have no idea what I think with this one. I haven't got a clue.
Anyway.
But anyway, yeah, let us know. Yeah, let us know what you think. And yeah, thanks
See
for
you next
watching
week.
and see you next week. Take care.
Like and
Bye-bye.
subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Yes, thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Means ass, doesn't it? You're fanny means ass. I want some gold bars. Some men like getting beaten up. Oh, I can't spell when I say this bit.
Yeah, sorry.
Right, lock in. We're halfway through, you know.
All right, now I'm gay. I want to explore being gay.
How would you kind of just rupture your own? Some men like getting beaten up. Ass.